Avowed is a first-person fantasy role-playing game set in the world of the Pillars of Eternity franchise. Having completed Avowed, I want to share my complete perspective here. Avowed is a disservice to the entire RPG genre. I had fun in Avowed. These two things are not mutually exclusive, and I'm going to explain both of them. At the very beginning of Avowed, we are set up in a couple of cutscenes as the envoy from the Adiran Empire. We have been tasked with investigating a mysterious plague, a soul plague. Right at the very start of things, we are shipwrecked on one of my favorite locations in every game, Tutorial Island. This is where all the magic begins. This is a great setup for the main storyline. We have a purpose, we have a place, we have a mission. This is good. I love the shipwreck. Let's get shipwrecked. Things have kind of gone in a bad way. Let's see what comes of it. This is a strong start to Avowed. As we move through Tutorial Island, the main gameplay, the main core play loop starts to unfold. In Avowed, we're going to spend time with a mix of kind of three big activities. We're going to explore some of the world. We're going to engage with some of the other characters to learn more about the main story missions. And we're going to engage with some characters to pick up side missions. In a role-playing game, an RPG, we are going to assume the role of a character in a dynamic, narrative-driven world. There's an expectation that we will be making decisions that shape our character's growth and influence the unfolding story. This is, in one sentence, the core of an RPG. There's more things that I think are included, but if we had to boil it down to one sentence, that's about it. And at its core, Avowed is an RPG. We've assumed the role of this envoy. We're going out into a narrative-driven world. There's a soul plague, and we're making decisions to try and grow our character and influence the unfolding story. So far, so good. Avowed is structured as a segmented open world. What this means here is that there are open spaces, big areas, that the game is divided into segments that we will travel between. It's not a true, completely open world, go anywhere, do anything. There are nice little segments, little blocks, little map pieces that we're going to work our way through. Each of these segmented open world map pieces have connected open areas. What that means is every one of them has a big city on it somewhere, sometimes in the corner or in the middle, where you're going to kind of start in a wilderness zone out in the wilds, and you'll journey through that into the city, which will be a connected zone that will load in and have its own map zone inside of it. This segmented open world with these connected open areas through the cities will stay from beginning of game to end of game. At launch, there are 4 major zones that we will journey through in this fashion. They are approximately somewhere between 10 and 20 hours each, depending on how fast you move and how much you engage with everything there is to do. The main things we go out and do are pick up missions and then go complete them. Very early on in the first zone, one of the very first NPCs you can talk to has a giant exclamation point over their head, and they say, "Help! Some monsters have taken over my cabin. Can you go clear them out?" We have a choice here. We can say no and leave the monsters alone, or we can say yes, and we can go help them clear out their cabin of monsters. If you say yes, you're going to journey out to the cabin, slay the monsters, and return. And if Avowed does its job as an RPG, this decision will shape our character and influence the unfolding story around us in the world of Avowed. Outside of the side quests, there's going to be main quests. These are going to move the main story forward. We have been sent to this world, the Living Lands. We've been sent to the Living Lands to investigate the Soul Plague. That's the main story. That's what moves the main narrative forward. The main story quests are just like the side quest. Please go to this location, kill the monster, pick up the item, come back and tell me about it. Let's see what goes from there. Another core experience in Avowed is going to be combat and platforming. When you're not talking with the characters for your questing, you're going to be out fighting and platforming. The platforming is overall pleasant. The combat is overall pleasant. Avowed offers a third-person camera. If you so choose, you can go to the settings and change that, or the traditional first-person camera. The important thing to know here is that the third-person camera I found very unsettling. In first person, when you dodge, it feels natural. You slide around and it's okay. In third person, you see your character looks like a little marionette. You've been pulled up on strings and you just get whipped around by the God hand. In third person, when you climb, it looks fine until you notice that your feet glitch through the terrain and your hands don't really grab anything. In first person, it's very engaging. I like that there's a third person option, as I prefer to experience these games in third person. It makes me much less nauseous and is just a nicer experience. However, Avowed's third person was incredibly unpolished and lacked the same level of engagement that the first person camera offered. Combat, there's a good mix of abilities you could move towards. You could choose to use magic, you could choose to use swords or blunt weapons or some of the guns. There's a lot of variety at first glance. Early on in the very first opening section, there's going to be a giant lighthouse. You're going to see it from all over the map. It's a huge structure. It's very difficult to miss. It glows at night. It's a giant lighthouse. It's taller than any other building in the land. It is a giant lighthouse. And there's all these little notes on the floor as you make your way up to the lighthouse. They say there's treasure at the top. There's like 4 or 5 notes that say that. You can hear NPCs. Everyone's telling you there's treasure at this lighthouse. There's something going on at this lighthouse. And as you go to the lighthouse, you're going to have to platform your way to the top. This lighthouse does a very good job of early on introducing you to the platforming part of gameplay, which you're going to spend quite a bit of time doing. It's not immediately obvious at first glance how much time you will spend sprinting, jumping, climbing, grasping. You will. That is a huge part of gameplay outside of combat and questing. The larger story of Avowed and the world building is a little bit set up by the franchise Avowed is home in. Avowed is homed in the Pillars of Eternity franchise. That's where it makes its home. This means that there are concepts that are introduced in other games outside of Avowed, which are present here, and you are expected to know them. You're going to come across lots and lots of characters in Avowed that fully expect you to be completely versed in the world of Pillars of Eternity. They are not going to define terms for you. They're just going to talk to you like you are a subject matter expert on events, people, places, historical facts, and just laws of physics, reality, and common sense of the Pillars of Eternity world. Other characters are going to treat you like a complete idiot and think you know nothing, and they are going to info dump on you ad nauseum. Avowed has a lot of story and world building that is conveyed through conversations. On one hand, the quality of the lore is excellent. On the other hand, the writing in Avowed is incredibly sophomoric. I put in the time and effort to complete everything Avowed offers, and it was incredibly hard to become immersed in the world of Avowed. Constantly, characters tried to be funny that weren't funny. They tried to be serious, and it fell short. The writing is so bland and mundane that when it came time to shine and for personalities to grow, it fell flat. A lot of the topics at surface level have a very adult vibe. The world is in danger. There's a soul plague. My pants are on fire. But if you really listen, pay attention, and read, if you're actually trying to engage with this product, it is a very childish writing. This is an elementary level of writing across the board. Yes, there are certain narrative beats that are well done. Yes, some of the characters really land their marks. I don't think the voice actors failed here. I think the writing is a very low quality in Avowed. I have 3 very specific examples here that frustrated me. There's a soul plague, a plague of the soul that is turning citizens into zombies. These zombies are attacking a city, and we have a choice. We can choose to unleash more zombies on a city, or we can kill some zombies that are attacking the city. We choose to kill the zombies attacking the city. And our companion Kai comes to us upset and says, "How dare you kill those people attacking the city?" We've been together for 20, 30, 40 hours at this point. They've pledged themselves to our mission. They have also seen the danger of the soul plague. They're completely with us and against the soul plague. And they're upset that we saved the city, that we got rid of these soul-plagued victims. There is no cure but death, and they know that. And they're upset we killed them. We've been killing soul-plagued victims, soul-plagued zombies for 10, 20, 30, 40 hours at this point. We have a companion who is an archaeologist. They are the world's leading expert on a certain branch of archaeology. And we come to some ruins. We come to some ruins that we have a choice. We can destroy the ruins, or we can keep the ruins how they are, and we can take out some of these soul plague zombies. We choose to save the ruins and get rid of some soul plague zombies. That's our mission, and they're thrilled with us. Later on, there's another city that has a problem. This problem is going to end in one of 2 ways. Either the city will be destroyed or not. The people inside are going to die or not, and we have the power to choose. The choice being made here will influence not just the city, but the leadership in the city. If we save the city, there's one leader who will take control. If we choose to let the city die and be doomed, there's another leader who will take control. We choose to save the city because we don't care about these leaders. We care about the people in the city. Kai shows up again, furious at us. How dare we save the city? We should have destroyed the whole thing and all the people in it. Our archaeologist shows up and says, "I know that's a legendary city that stood for thousands of years. I know the architecture there is unique and special. I don't care, you should have burned the whole city down." Both companions wanted me to make sure that all the citizens died, simply because they didn't agree with the politics of the leader who was going to be in charge afterwards. They thought it was better for all those innocents in the entire city to be destroyed just so that one person who they disagreed with politically couldn't have power in that city. That one member of a ruling council wouldn't survive and another would die. They felt that they should doom the entire city. Avowed's writing is very weak. There's a deep lack of consistency in how the characters around us would react to the events unfolding. Avowed's writing is almost predictably childish. The first character we meet who presents themselves as a very dangerous, difficult, hard, seasoned veteran. They know how to get things done and survive. They're a real one. The very first character we meet like that, we meet him in a bar and they're threatening to poison someone because they're mean like that. As the story unfolds, immediately they're the sad boy. Their mommy left them. They're an orphan. Nobody loves them. They can't get along with anyone, and they just cry in the corner. It's always poor, poor them. The whole world's against them, and it's not fair. We meet another character. There's 4 of them. These companion characters specifically. Who's an orphan all of a sudden. And not only are they an orphan, but the only home they've known is going to banish them. And the only thing they can do is join our party. And they are one of the most righteous, indignant characters there is. Everything's an injustice. Everything's that we have to help them because I think they're also orphans. We have to help them. I think they're going to be banished. Because my parents left me and died, I have to do this thing. Of the 4 companions, the least annoying companion is the first one we meet. Kai's biggest strength as a companion is they are the least annoying companion. Rest assured, they're also another sad boy. They were a deserter from a war, they couldn't see any more violence, and they spend their whole time killing things with us. They tell us how they want to do what's right for the living lands that they've now made their home, this world we're exploring. And then later on they say they'll support any decision we make because we're such a good guy. And then right after that they'll be upset at us because we made a choice they didn't like. But they'll still follow us and do all the things they've always done. There are no consequences for your actions with the companions. In one conversation, your companion will go from scolding you to complimenting you. He'll end the dialogue and they'll immediately say, I need to talk to you again. Giant notifications pop up. Please come talk to me. We have to talk about this. And they just want to tell you a sad backstory you don't even care about. The companion characters are not only incredibly annoying and sophomoric, they destroy the immersive qualities of the world time and time again. They're often complaining about things you were not a part of or people you've never met and will never meet. They want to reminisce about stories that have no relevant bearing to anything going on in the world around you. These companion characters are going to take up a lot of time developing the plot, constructing the lore, and being involved with the narrative. They are going to jump in the middle of conversations and input their thoughts. You cannot stop them. They're going to come with you and they're going to say things. They're going to interrupt dialogue because they need to be a part of things. These companions are a part of an illusion of player choice. They have almost zero development regardless of the choices we make. Yes, occasionally they'll confront us with a stern sentence or two saying, how dare you not destroy the city, or whatever your choice may have been. But there's no meaningful impact. Your relationship with them does not change the main story. It does not change the side stories. They will follow you and play along regardless. There is no romance. Everyone wants to talk about a past, present, or future lover, but there's none for you. There's a quest early on in the first zone where you have an opportunity to help out the local bathhouse. This bathhouse provides all the services you would expect from a traditional RPG bathhouse. However, at the end of the quest, the mistress of the baths will say to you something to the effect of, come back anytime, thanks for all your help. You cannot take a bath. You cannot come back anytime. There's no more dialogue. Your companions won't say anything about it, because once the quest is over, it's over. There's nothing more to be said. The buildup is there. The whole way there, your companions, oh, I love to go to the bathhouse. I arrive at the bathhouse expecting this world to be built out in front of me. I'm expecting to be immersed. I'm expecting character development to occur. No, there's no bathing in the bathhouse. We save the bathhouse's business, and they ask us a favor. They say, hey, do you mind helping us out? Go back to the local leader of this city and just let them know that we're on their side. We go back to the local leader at the embassy. We tell them, hey, the bathhouse is doing this thing. You know all about it. It's totally illegal, but you're going to let them do it because it's the right thing to do. And they say, yes, of course. That's it. That's the entire interaction. One throwaway sentence. This bathhouse had maybe, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 minutes of buildup. We're going to the bathhouse. It's so exciting. We've never been there. It's going to be great. Everyone loves to go. We get there. The bathhouse is like, hey, we're out of soap. We go get the soap. They're all kinds of thrilled. Come here anytime. Hey, do me one more favor. Let the local magister know things are going well. We go to the local dude at the embassy. It's just empty. It's juvenile. Everyone makes all these jokes about the bathhouse. There's nothing to show for it. You can't even bathe. Later on, we meet a character and they tease this character. He's going to die in a cave of virgin. It's not funny. This character is bleeding and in pain. Their entire cave diving crew has been killed. They are afraid for their life. They don't know if they're going to see the sky again. And our character makes fun of them for being a virgin. Later on, we find them at the bathhouse. We can't talk to them. We can't comment on any of it. We can't engage with them. They are a flat lifeless image. They're there. They're just window dressing. They're there. No one says anything. Not at the camp. They don't even recognize us. They don't even remember us. We saved their life. Not only that, we saved the business at the bathhouse. This type of narrative in the world, this type of development and plot is consistent throughout Avowed. There is an illusion of player choice. Yes, we could have let that character die in the cave, but it wouldn't have changed anything we did later on at the bathhouse. It did not matter at all. We never ever actually needed to bring the soap to the bathhouse or the herbs, whatever it was. They didn't need it because we still couldn't bathe, even though it was open for business. When we went and told the gentleman at the embassy in a leadership position the bathhouse is doing something illegal, nothing happened. When we told him to leave them alone because it was the right thing to do, and he said, of course, nothing happened. There's no immersive quality to the dialogue. There's no immersive quality to the world. You read through the dialogue and expect things to happen, and they do not. The story and world building in Avowed is incredibly weak. Worse, it's not immersive. One of the most important things in an RPG is a dynamic, narrative-driven world. There is an expectation that our decisions are going to shape our character's growth and influence the unfolding story. Yes, technically it checks those boxes. We went into the cave, we saved the boy, he went to the bathhouse. Okay, it checks the boxes that yes, we made choices, it changed the narrative, and characters had an opportunity to grow. But it's not immersive. We never got to bathe. We never got to talk to the cave virgin at the bathhouse. We have no influence on the unfolding story. There's an illusion of player influence. There's an illusion of player agency. And this expectation of actual influence, of a narrative-driven world that we can engage with, falls completely flat. The story and world building in Avowed is a huge weakness. In my experience completing Avowed, having explored everything there is to offer, overall, the graphics and visuals, as far as a technical quality goes, they do just fine. Until they don't. The very first main story mission sends you to go kill a bear. And as I went to kill this bear, the bear did not spawn in. Not only did the bear not spawn in, but I glitched through the floor. In the very final mission, in the very final zone, we are sent to climb up a hill and kind of platform across some large branches to go and meet someone very important to us. Someone who's going to influence the world. We've really gotten to the bottom of the Soul Plague. It is the final mission. And I fall through the floor. On a technical level, Avowed does great. I spent countless hours with absolutely no issue, but every once in a while, something is not well done. It is not finished, it is undercooked, it has not been properly play tested. Avowed has a technical quality issue that is unacceptable for a game that launched at $90 US. That is a very expensive price tag for a game that is going to have this level of technical quality issues. When we look at the graphics and visual from a art direction and atmosphere, I think Avowed has a lot of really strong positives. It very much reminds me of the children's shows that my 2-year-old likes to watch. There's something to the vibrancy, there's something to the saturation that has this need to pull you in. You just want to see it. You want to look at it. It just sucks you in. Everything is so jam-packed with vibrant neons. Everything is so jam-packed with plentiful varieties of just bright, in-your-face, you need to look at this. There's mushrooms everywhere, which is lots of fun. And at night, they glow. I liked it so much. I thought the atmosphere was just contagious. It was tough to pull yourself out of Avowed. Everything, everywhere was screaming, quick, look at me, I'm right here. Look how bright and visually I am. Look, I'm visual, I'm so designed. Look at this art direction. Don't you see me? Don't you hear me? It was so loud. There is a distinctive quality to it that I can only find matched in children's programming. I am not being negative in this assessment. This is how it comes across to me. It is so saturated and vibrant. The contrast is at 150 and the highlights are at 350. It is so wildly in your face. Look at everything there is to see here. Even the characters you talk to are just, I think they're poisonous. They're just this wild camouflage of all the Skittles are there, every one of them, and they're screaming at you. Look at my face. Look, the very first character we meet, I am a little embarrassed to say this, but I thought they were a ghost. They're not. You just can't, there's no crime system, so NPCs can't be harmed. I don't want to get off track here. Listen, the man's a blueberry, okay? Bright blue, the most saturated blue you can imagine, with blue hair all over. There's so much blue. This thing is wildly blue, and his background is like a sandy beach. You can't help but be like, there's the blue guy, and then you turn around, and he's right behind you. Giant, massive, practically glowing, vibrantly saturated blue character screaming in your face. I think Avowed has a distinct visual design. There's a distinct art direction, and ignoring the color choice, I think it's important to talk about the mushrooms. The land terrain is called the Living Lands, and there are these mushrooms and vines growing all over. In the first zone, I love them. In the second zone, I love them. The third zone, I love them. In the fourth zone, I also love them because I thought they were really cool. These giant mushrooms of all kinds of variety, shapes, and sizes. They come from the ceiling, they come from the ground, they grow around buildings, they're everywhere. At the same time, I wanted more variety. The lack of variety was astounding. It must have saved so much development time and cost to just copy and paste the same 79 different mushrooms. Yes, there were quite a lot of these mushrooms, okay? Like 79, 80, 100, a lot of them. And I like them, but I wanted some variety. The first biome is kind of a forest in a city. The second biome is kind of some rolling hills and a forest and a swamp in a city, right? The third biome is a bit of a desert and some caves in a city. The fourth biome is kind of a volcanic kind of wasteland in a city. They're all quite lovely. I like them all very much. Visually, their design was unique. The art direction felt strong and purposeful, and they all had a whole bunch of the same mushrooms, and I just wanted a little more variety. I really did. Even though I like the mushrooms, come on. You really need to save that much money in time by copy and pasting the same 85 mushrooms, 85 different ways. I understand the value there. And even though I like the mushrooms, and this is just one aspect, I'm just highlighting the mushrooms. There are other trees and foliage in the Living Lands. It just was copy and pasted everywhere. Like, there was a lack of variety that the longer I spent in Avowed, the more time I went exploring, the more I went, more mushrooms. Okay. Let's talk about the level design. How well designed are the game's levels? I mentioned earlier that there are these segmented open worlds, and I put a significant amount of time into testing every corner of them because the map betrayed me. There are parts of the map that are going to have the fog of war. You can't quite see what's on them, and you quite literally can't platform there in any reasonable or responsible manner. That's okay. It's all right, but darn did I try and clear my map out. I wanted the map to be, completely cleared out. Listen, as far as these map segments went, level design, I thought they were really well done. The environment felt really well done. The platforming was good. I never felt like enemies were too far apart or too close together. Level design was so strong. If there's anything Avowed does really well, it's their level design. I genuinely think they took each of these segmented open worlds and they really took the time to craft something special. I could almost feel myself just kind of start to clear a zone, and it felt like meditation. You just kind of felt in the rhythm, in the zone. It felt natural to just continue to engage and jump and climb and duck and turn the corner. And because the combat was so smooth in first person, as long as your gear was leveled, we'll get to that. The level design was flawless, absolutely top tier. The balance in the level design was excellent as long as you leveled your gear. The level design in the cities was a lot weaker than the level design in the world around it, in the wildlands. And I think what held the cities back was that the city might have had 150 buildings and you could go into 4 of them. The cities might have had 150 buildings and 379 NPCs. I did not count. I'm not being sarcastic. There were a lot of them. They didn't talk. They didn't open doors. They didn't have any lives. This is not a sandbox simulator, but it is an RPG. And I want to be immersed in the world. And when we talk about level design in cities, if you have characters hanging out, they don't need to have fully fleshed out dialogue trees. They don't need to have beds they sleep in and homes they go to. It's okay if that is not the world you want to create. But by having them be empty, soulless, lifeless ghosts who you cannot talk to, interact with, there's no crime system, so you can't kill them, you can't pickpocket them, you can't talk to them, they can't tell you anything, they don't even have any gossip to say to each other. They literally stand there like a dead rock. It made the level design in the cities feel so uncomfortable. Because you'd see all these buildings you could never go into. You'd see all these characters you could never talk to. The only dialogue to be had in the cities was scripted questing. And so when you're journeying through the city and you're looking at the level design and the balance and how it was challenging me as a player, it didn't. It just made me sad. I wanted to go talk to people. You couldn't talk to them. They had nothing to say. I wanted to pick a fight with someone who upset me, and they treat you like you're not there. They remind me that I'm playing a game. They remind me that I could be playing a different game. They remind me that they don't care. There's this beautifully designed city that I can jump on these rooftops, but I can't go inside the balcony. There's this beautifully designed city where I can navigate the waterways and see the statues, but there's nobody there to talk to and tell about it. I have all these companions who don't even do a good job of telling me about the city. It's so sad. As far as level design goes, the wildlands were wonderful, but part of why they were wonderful was there were things to do. We could talk, we could fight, we could climb, we could explore. But in the city, it felt very much like a bowling alley. Go down this path, there's literally one building you can go into. Go into the one building you can go into and talk to the only person here who will ever talk to you. Balance was a mix of fairness and difficulty. And I think the mix is a little tricky at first because I expected my stat points and my attributes to matter. And that's not how Avowed works. Avowed is balanced around the level of your gear. Your literal gear level. Your gear you wear, your weapons, be it magic, physical, range, whatever, and the armor you wear, the level, the quality of that gear is what decides all the balance. I constantly felt wildly underpowered as each zone you go into goes up one full gear tier, and the loot is scripted and enemies don't respawn. This made a pacing issue in a massive sense of the word. The balance between action and slower moments in Avowed is so incredibly bad, and it's because of the difficulty system. Because your level doesn't really matter. Because your skills don't really matter as far as difficulty goes. It's all about the quality and tier of gear, the level of your items. Because enemies don't respond, you're not going to be grinding for XP. This is nice. Because enemies don't respond and you're not grinding for XP, there is a set amount of loot and currency that drops. That means each of the segmented open worlds you journey through have a scripted, measured, scientific amount of these are objectively the facts, how much you can possibly have. I hated this system. It meant that I never felt confident or comfortable changing my items because I could only realistically, consistently level up one item at the end of a zone. I know other players have said, hey, I could get through all kinds of different items and I changed them around. Good for you. I was uncomfortable trying to level up a second item because there was a limited amount of resources. This scarcity meant I wasn't interested in trying other builds because I just spent all the money I found or all the upgrade materials I found trying to get my one item leveled up before I got to the next zone, which was possible. I journeyed from the first zone to the second, from the second to the third to the fourth, and onward, always having my main weapon just at the tier it should be coming into the zone. What I discovered is, as long as your weapon is the tier it is supposed to be, all enemies die in between 0 and 4 hits. 0's kind of low, but sometimes I swear I didn't even touch them and they died, and other times it took at least 4 hits. This pacing issue was a little upsetting because once you realize you can kill everything in 1 swing, 2 swing, 3 shot, 4 cast, whatever you're slinging around for your weapons. Once you realize everything dies in a scripted 4 hit, whatever 4 hits you want to do, all of a sudden the balance just falls apart. All of a sudden the pacing is just so broken, and there is nothing worse in Avowed than clearing out a whole zone and realizing you don't have the upgrade materials. You can push the main story forward, but you know you're going to get there and have even less upgrade materials. So it's going to be very important to backtrack and make sure you didn't miss anything, because if you missed a side quest or a chest, I felt this insurmountable pressure to make sure I absolutely found it so I could upgrade my stuff. It was exhausting. I did not want to have to clear every side content. I don't want to have to look for every single possible chest. But I did, because I needed that upgrade material. This destroys the momentum of Avowed. You're trying to follow the main story quest. Hello, there's a soul plague. You're sent here on behalf of the Empire to solve the soul plague issue. What's causing it? What can we do about it? Why are these soul plague victims turning into these zombies? What's going on around here? And then all of a sudden you're like, before I can do that though, I need to backtrack and clear these last 15 caves I passed up because I was just following main story missions, but because of that, I wasn't actually clearing all this stuff. So I'm a little underleveled, so sorry. And by underleveled, I just mean my gear is underleveled because I'm actually overleveled. I have all kinds of stats and attributes, but they do absolutely no damage and have no value because my gear is underleveled. This balance and pacing and gear system is not something I enjoyed. I thought it was a terribly unpleasant system to engage with. I didn't want to be forced to find every nook and cranny of loot. I didn't want to be forced to make sure I was leveling up my gear. I just wanted to engage with the world, get my stat points, and those stats matter, and they never felt like they mattered. I could have put nothing in any of the stats, and it would have been able to complete the entire game without any change in playstyle. I could have put nothing on my skills, and I could have gotten through it all. Would have been tough. The skills give a lot of percentage bonuses, so there's skills that say give you a 10% more chance to crit or 20% more health. Those are pretty meaningful, but at the same time, none of it mattered if your gear was under leveled. Avowed has an incredible problem with pacing. Avowed has an incredibly, terribly balanced experience. It just doesn't feel fair. Even if it is fair objectively on paper, it doesn't feel fair. And that's what matters. It doesn't matter if the truth is that it is fair. It matters that the expectation and the perception here is it wasn't fair. I shouldn't have had to clear all those caves to pick up those chests because as you journey through Avowed, you're going to very quickly discover all the loot is identical. There's no loot variety. Then you say, Vadd, come on, there's unique items. They're literally called unique items. Yes, 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 I'm hearing you. I've opened 1,000 chests. I've opened every chest in the game, and they all have the same mix of stuff. A couple upgrade materials and some monies. An item that I could never use that I would then grind down or sell for upgrade materials or monies. And then you can say, but Vadd, they're unique items. You're right. But there's a limited number of these, and I'm already wearing the best in slot item for my character, the way I'm playing them. The only thing in that chest is a trash pickup. There are no surprises. There's nothing that made me go, ooh, this will change the way I play the game. Because I'd already committed by the second, third, and fourth zone, I need to be using this item because this is what I can afford to upgrade at this time. Yes, I could have played with an item that was slightly underpowered and gotten more flexibility. Yes, Avowed has a combat system that allows you to switch your items in a fluid manner. But only if you're willing to sacrifice and accept the pacing and difficulty that is going to come from not clearing those camps, picking up those trash chests that are just full of golden upgrade stuff so you can upgrade your stuff. There's a serious issue on pacing and balance and difficulty here in Avowed, and the solution here is a complete rework. There's no way to change this, as this is a core gameplay mechanic. It was a selling point in the marketing material. I could have sworn someone told me this is why it's going to be such a great game, because the gear is going to matter, and oh my goodness, it was bad. There's absolutely no replayability in Avowed. There's no New Game Plus. There's no diverging choices that at the end are going to really change things. Yes, there's some achievements you're going to have to go back and do things over again for. But that's about it. Replayability is incredibly low. When we talk about innovation and originality, Avowed does absolutely nothing original or innovative. Every single thing in Avowed is present and done better or differently or originally somewhere else. Avowed has absolutely the lowest possible level of originality and innovation. It is just shocking how much there was no effort put into any originality or innovation. You want to tell me that, oh, but the gear system's unique, or look, this item has like a 5% burn effect we've never seen before. We've never had a sword that lights people on fire. Okay, cool. You found the one innovative original thing. Well done. Golf clap, slow clap for you. The innovation and originality in Avowed is lacking. It's not just lacking, it's not there. And you're going to show up in the comments and say, but Vadd, it is there. You're wrong. There's this one super hyper specific niche interaction that I've never seen somewhere else. And someone's going to comment below that and say 20 years ago that was in a game. 13 years ago, a game came out last year that did the exact same thing. Avowed just does not do anything original or innovative. Let's talk about value for money. Avowed launched at $90 US. And the week following, it dropped down to $70 US. This is a shockingly high price point. This to me feels like a price point designed to try and push you into the Xbox Game Pass, which is a fraction of that cost, and offer you Avowed. I think that is very, very unfortunate. I don't care how good the Game Pass is. I think Avowed is being set at a premium price, and my expectation is a premium experience. That is not what Avowed offers. There are other games in the RPG genre that do everything Avowed does better, that cost less. I would like to have seen Avowed launch closer to the $30 or at most $40 US price point. This is a shockingly high price point to launch at and to hold at here at launch. I think Avowed was wildly overvalued at launch with the $90 price tag. Within a week of launch, dropping down to $70 is incredibly overvalued at launch. This is an unfinished and incomplete experience for the RPG genre. This game fails to meet the expectations of that much money being asked for. We completely ignore the technical issues that hopefully will be fixed in future patches. We can't ignore that Avowed is not the strongest RPG in the genre. It's actually maybe one of the weakest RPGs in the genre. Avowed isn't just okay. It does not stack up against other competitors in the genre, other competitors in the RPG genre that are at a much more affordable and reasonable price point today. I had fun playing Avowed. It's not a confession, it is a statement of fact. It's not a joke, I'm serious. I had fun playing Avowed. And sometimes that's all that matters. Avowed has some of the most shallow RPG mechanics of any RPG you can pick up in today's market. There is a massive lack of meaningful interactions, consequences, or player agency. There's a strong focus on combat and exploration, but the quests, the dialogue, the narrative, it's all just not there. It's just not good enough. But I had fun playing Avowed. I enjoyed some of the time I spent there. I really did. And that might be all that matters. I don't always need to pick up something and engage with something that Is going to give me these giant decisions that are going to impact the story and world. Maybe choice and consequence is a staple of the RPG genre, and maybe Avowed doesn't do it very well, but maybe I wasn't looking for it when I was playing for Avowed. Maybe I was just happy to just get in the world and go. Accept the fact that I don't really have any agency here, that my choices don't matter. Just kind of zen, right? Gonna go hit some monsters and enjoy that. In the very first tutorial island, we fight a raptor. In the very first map section, you'll fight a raptor. In the second, third, fourth, and final sections of the game, you're gonna fight the same little raptor guy. There's absolutely no enemy variety. Sometimes I would sit down to work my way through Avowed and I'd just be so upset. Another raptor? And other times I'd be like, I kind of like fighting these guys. Who cares? I'll just hit another and get to the next one. There's this meditative quality to the combat I found where I just kind of enjoyed myself just clearing it out. Just turn off your brain. Turn on Avowed and turn off your brain. Nothing to think about. Nothing to do here. Just hit the raptors. Dialogue coming, punch through it. You know none of it matters. Your companions are upset. Don't worry about it. You need to clear a side quest because it's a giant floating exclamation mark in this vibrant, saturated world. Just walk over to it and click it like nothing matters. There's this simplification of this linear world. There's just less open-ended interactions. I didn't feel the weight of any consequences because there aren't any. I didn't feel the weight of the story because it's weak. I didn't feel the need to try and pay attention to dialogue with companions. We can't romance them. They don't change who they are. They're not going to suddenly be better in combat. You just click through it. No matter what you click in their dialogue, it comes to the same outcome. They just follow you around regardless. There's just something fun about turning on something that asks nothing of you but to spend time in it. That's it. And everything just pulls you further forward. There's another chest around each corner. There's one more platform to jump, one more little raptor man to smack. You're done fighting bears, here's a beetle. You're tired of beetles, here's a bear. You're tired of raptors, here's a guy in armor. That's it. That's all four of the enemy types. I've named them all. Beetles, bears, raptor guy, guy in armor. That's about it. I mean, that's really it. And as soon as you just kind of slip into the trance, you just kind of sit there and you go, just hit them. You just hit them. I'll just hit the next one. You hit the next one. Oh, they drop loot. That's nice. You just pick it up. There's something about Avowed that is just kind of surreal. Because nothing matters and nothing's well done and everything dies in 4 hits, you just see an enemy, you go, I'll just click this button 4 times and it's done. There's something kind of just fun about that. Maybe it's been a long day at work. You've had a long commute. The house is quiet. It's your time. You're like, you know what? Let's just go through Avowed, see what's going on. The jumping's engaging. The combat's engaging. The dialogue I can click through. Or I can read if I care, or it's all fully voiced. I can just listen. I don't have to click. Dialogue will actually just auto-complete. I can just set it down and get a snack, close my eyes and listen, pay attention if I want. Like, there's something about Avowed that it doesn't care if you engage with it. It's not asking that of you. And that might be the biggest insult ever, but it's kind of the most fun I had was just going, none of this matters, click. None of this matters, click. And sometimes that's just the experience you want to have. You're just tired. I'm just tired. I don't want to have to perfect parry everything. This isn't Sekiro. I don't want to have to figure out who I need to betray to win the hand of the woman I love in whatever game this. I don't need that all the time. I just don't. Do I expect that and want that in an RPG? Yes. But if I was in the mood to not, this was fun. It seems counterintuitive, but when I walk away from Avowed and I check my notes about what I want to say in this video, the question is always, what am I feeling while I'm doing this? And a lot of the times I'd be frustrated at Avowed that my choices didn't matter, but it was always after the fact. I'd be frustrated at this gear system forcing me to make sure I was getting my gear leveled up. I'd be frustrated that my characters don't really evolve because their dialogue doesn't matter, but I'd be in the gameplay. I'd be out there fighting, exploring, and talking. In that moment, it was fun. That's what I was feeling. That was the experience I had. And it's only when I pay more attention and peel back the paint and I really look at what I'm engaging with. I really take a second and think, what is an RPG supposed to be? And I'm really trying to fully immerse myself. And I'm really trying to complete things and catalog it and review it. It's only then that I go, oh, yuck. Yuck. It's by putting in the time and effort to complete things and really understand Avowed on that deeper level that I wholeheartedly believe Avowed is a disservice to the entire RPG genre. I put a significant amount of time into testing all mechanics and exploring what Avowed offers. Avowed lacks the depth and innovation that consistently and historically has made an RPG special. Avowed really leans much more towards a linear action adventure rather than a true role-playing game. The very first line of all of Avowed's current marketing sales material says Avowed is a first-person fantasy RPG. That is the selling point. That is how it has been presented. And those expectations set are not met. And I think that's where Avowed falls the flattest for me. I had fun in Avowed, but my expectations were never met. Even ignoring the technical issues, the visual and auditory bugs that are expected to be patched, Avowed is overwhelmingly shallow. Combat is incredibly basic. It's fun to engage with, but you kill everything in 4 hits. It doesn't matter. Combat's fun to swing your weapon around and cast your spells and shoot your guns, but there's like 4 enemy types for the entire game. Yes, there's a few other small ones. Yes, there's like a ghost. Okay, fine. 5 enemy types. You've got bear, guy in armor, raptor guy, beetle bear. Yeah, they're like the same. An RPG is a game where we assume the role of a character in a dynamic, narrative-driven world where we make decisions that shape our character's growth and influence the unfolding story. Avowed technically checks all the boxes there. My expectations for the experience, the immersive quality, and the depth of mechanics, of narrative, of combat, and of the world are not met. I'm Vadd, and at the time of review, Avowed is awarded a 2 out of 5. I do not recommend.